In this video, we're going to show you how to remove the door gasket from a front load washer. So the first thing we're going to do to remove that gasket is we need to remove the top off the machine. On this one, there's a couple of screws that are in the back that hold the top on. Yours may have one or two or maybe four, and the type of screw will vary from manufacturer to manufacturer. But you just remove those screws and then your top typically pulls off or lifts off. And put that out of the way. On this machine, we're going to have to remove the front in order to get at one of the clamps. So to begin that process, we'll remove our dispenser. One of the things we'll have to do is we have to remove a clamp that's around this part of that door gasket that seals it to the front. Usually they're just a wire or maybe a wire with a spring. And to get it off, you're just going to take a small blade screwdriver and get it in behind the wire and just work that around with the gasket to free it up. With that removed, we can then take our gasket and release it from the front. On this model, you can see that there's a hose attached to our door gasket. Some machines will have one, some will have two. You'll just have to squeeze that clamp, lift it out of the way. So now we want to take some stuff apart in order to get this front off. So to do that, we need to remove our console. So with a Phillips screwdriver, we'll take some screws across the top off. Now in your machine, these may not be Phillips. They may be a hex head, like a 1/4 inch or 5/16 or 10 millimeter. You'll also want to check on some machines where your dispenser door was, you may find there's a screw in here, one or two that have to be removed. I don't see it on this model. No, on this model, this dispenser has to be pulled back first. So there is a screw here that's holding that, and that'll allow us to lift our console and get it out of the way. Now your machine, that console may come off without having to touch that. It just varies from machine to machine. So with that free, we can set our console up out of the way. We don't have to undo any wiring. So now we have to remove our front. So we have some screws here that hold it, but at the same time we also have a door latch mechanism that we need to remove the screws that are holding it, so it'll allow the front to come off. So your door latch mechanism may be held with just one screw or maybe two, like this one has. Don't worry about that dropping out of the way. There's a wiring harness attached to it, so it'll just hang inside and be there for you when you need to put it back together. We also have a clean out here on this machine, which is behind this door. So you just want to look and see what's involved. As some machines have a screw that goes through and holds this in as well, which would prevent the front from coming off. This one, I don't think that's going to be a problem. We'll find out in a few seconds, because now we're going to remove these screws to take the front off. One of the nice things with this machine is they've built the front so it has a couple of locking tabs, one here and another locking tab here, so that you can take all these 4 screws out and that front will not come off in a big hurry on you. Some makes have 4 screws that hold them, some are just 3, just depends on what make and model you have. But however many screws are in there, you'll just want to remove them. So with those 4 screws removed, there's those locks that are holding it in place. On this model, there is this clean out area where there's a hose that's clipped into place, so you want to free that up so that that can not be in the way when you go to remove the front. On some makes, they actually have a screw inside here that would have to be removed. This one doesn't have it, but other brands do. What this model does have is a screw that's going up in the corner from the front into a bracket. So that has to be removed on both sides. Now I have this washer up on a little cart so I can move it around. If you have your washer just sitting on your floor at home, you may actually have to tip your machine back a little bit so you can get at this screw. And with a small blade screwdriver, we can release this catch at the top, apply a little support, and release that other catch. And now the front should be able to come right off for us. We'll just tip it forward. And we can set that out of the way. So now that we can see our boot, or door gasket, it gets referred to in some cases as a door boot. Now there'll be a wire spring holding this on as well. Some of them, such as this one, instead of just being a wire with a spring on it, it's actually a clamp. So we just need to take a screwdriver and loosen that clamp. As you can see on this model, it's very difficult to get a screwdriver in there, so we're going to have to remove this weight by taking those two bolts out. So with a 1/2-inch socket and a ratchet, we're going to remove the bolts on this weight in order to be able to get at that screw. Some maker machines, you wouldn't have to do this. It's just this particular manufacturer has it set up that way. Now with those bolts out, we can remove that weight. It is concrete, so it's got a little bit of weight to it. Just set that to one side. Now we'll take our small blade screwdriver, pop it in underneath that wire, and just work our way around. And it allows us to remove the door gasket. You want to separate that spring so you have it to put it back on if you're reinstalling the gasket. And that's how you remove the door gasket on a front load washer.